Ladies and gentlemen, relationships are not merely emotional agreements, they are profound commitments built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. But what happens when that foundation is eroded by actions that cut to the very core of what a partnership should be? Today we explore 5 behaviors that, if repeated, must not be ignored. 1. Deliberate and repeated dishonesty. When trust is broken, it is not simply a mistake, it is an assault on the fabric of the relationship itself. A partner who lies, manipulates, or distorts reality repeatedly is not just harming the relationship, but is undermining your capacity to trust your own judgment. You cannot build a future with someone who prioritizes deceit over transparency. 2. Emotional or psychological manipulation. Emotional manipulation is subtle, but its consequences are devastating. A partner who twists your words, uses guilt as a weapon, or creates an environment of perpetual self-doubt is not only harming you, they are redefining the relationship on their terms, stripping you of autonomy. Love does not control, it empowers. 3. Persistent disrespect of boundaries. Your boundaries are not negotiable, they are a reflection of your values and identity. A partner who repeatedly disregards those boundaries, whether through dismissive behavior or overt violations, is showing you that your feelings and needs are secondary. Such actions are not mistakes, they are declarations. 4. Abuse in any form. Abuse, be it physical, emotional, or verbal, is the ultimate betrayal. It is not just an action, it is a statement that says, your safety and dignity mean less to me than my impulses, no excuse, no circumstance justifies enduring abuse. A single instance is one too many, and patterns of such behavior must never be tolerated. 5. Chronic unfaithfulness without true remorse. Infidelity is not merely a breach of loyalty, it is a choice that disregards the emotional investment of another. But what is worse than the act itself is the absence of genuine remorse. Without accountability, the behavior is likely to repeat, creating a cycle of betrayal and pain. Your capacity for forgiveness is a virtue, but it is not an obligation to tolerate toxicity. Some behaviors are not errors, they are indicators of character. If you permit these actions to continue, you are not only compromising your well-being, but also enabling the very dynamics that harm you. A healthy relationship is a partnership rooted in mutual respect and shared growth. When those principles are broken irreparably, the most courageous thing you can do is walk away. Because in protecting your worth, you are also preserving your potential for a relationship that truly honors it. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define who we are, what we value, and what we are willing to tolerate. They serve as the framework within which relationships can flourish, ensuring that each person's identity, dignity, and emotional well-being are respected. Without boundaries, relationships can become chaotic, lopsided, or even destructive. They are not about creating distance or shutting others out, but about fostering a space where both individuals can feel safe, heard, and valued. When a partner consistently disregards boundaries, it is more than just an oversight, it is a signal that they do not prioritize your needs or your individuality. Healthy relationships require an acknowledgement of each other's limits and an active effort to honor them. For example, if you express that a particular behavior is hurtful or unacceptable, and your partner dismisses or ignores your concerns, it demonstrates a lack of regard for your emotional state. Over time, this erodes trust and creates an environment where one person's needs consistently overshadow the other's. Boundaries are also essential for personal accountability. They allow both partners to take responsibility for their actions without overstepping into the other's autonomy. A relationship where boundaries are respected encourages growth and mutual understanding because it recognizes that love does not demand the erasure of individuality but celebrates it. The absence of boundaries often leads to resentment and confusion. Without clear lines, it becomes challenging to distinguish between acceptable compromises and unhealthy sacrifices. It is not selfish to uphold your boundaries, it is a necessary act of self-respect and an essential component of a thriving relationship. A partner who respects your boundaries is not just demonstrating their love for you, they are showing their willingness to build a relationship founded on trust, respect, and mutual care. Accountability is the cornerstone of trust in any relationship. It is the willingness and ability to take responsibility for one's actions, admit when mistakes are made, and actively work to make amends. Without accountability, conflicts remain unresolved, trust erodes, and the relationship becomes a breeding ground for resentment and misunderstanding. When a partner demonstrates accountability, they signal that they respect not only the relationship but also you as an individual. It shows that they value the bond enough to acknowledge when their behavior has caused harm. This kind of maturity fosters an environment of honesty and vulnerability, where both parties feel safe to express their feelings without fear of dismissal or retaliation. A lack of accountability often reveals deeper issues. When a partner deflects blame, makes excuses, or minimizes the impact of their actions, they are refusing to confront the consequences of their behavior. This refusal not only undermines the relationship but also demonstrates a lack of self-awareness and emotional growth. Over time, this pattern can lead to a toxic dynamic where one partner bears the emotional burden of the other's irresponsibility. Accountability is not just about apologizing when something goes wrong, it is about proactive efforts to ensure that mistakes are not repeated. It involves a willingness to listen, learn, and grow. For example, if a partner consistently forgets commitments or dismisses your concerns, an accountable response would involve acknowledging the oversight, understanding its impact, and taking concrete steps to prevent it from happening again. In a healthy relationship, accountability is reciprocal. Both partners take ownership of their actions and work together to resolve conflicts and build a stronger connection. It is not about perfection, but about a shared commitment to the relationship's well-being. A partner who consistently refuses to take responsibility for their actions sends a clear message they are not willing to do the work required to maintain a healthy and respectful relationship. Accountability is a measure of character. It reflects a person's capacity to engage with honesty and integrity, even when doing so is uncomfortable. A relationship without accountability is a fragile one, where unresolved issues accumulate and trust steadily diminishes. Conversely, a relationship rooted in accountability is one where both partners feel valued, respected, and empowered to grow together. In relationships, it is crucial to differentiate between isolated incidents and recurring patterns of behavior. An isolated incident often reflects a momentary lapse in judgment, a mistake, or a response to a specific set of circumstances. While these can be hurtful, they are typically not representative of a person's character or intentions if they are addressed with genuine remorse and corrective action. Patterns, on the other hand, reveal deeper truths. When certain behaviors repeat over time, especially after being discussed or addressed, they cease to be mere mistakes and start to become defining characteristics. For example, if a partner consistently breaks promises, dismisses your concerns, or engages in harmful actions despite repeated conversations, this repetition is not accidental. It is a reflection of their priorities, values, or even unresolved personal issues that they are unwilling to confront. Recognizing patterns is essential for protecting your emotional well-being. Patterns tell a story about a person's capacity for empathy, respect, and accountability. If harmful behavior persists, it suggests a lack of genuine effort to change or a disregard for the impact their actions have on you. This is especially true when apologies are followed by the same harmful behavior. Apologies without change are merely empty words. On the other hand, isolated incidents, when handled with responsibility and growth, can become opportunities to strengthen a relationship. A single mistake, when met with genuine accountability and a commitment to improvement, shows that the person values the relationship and is willing to work through challenges. The danger lies in dismissing patterns as isolated incidents. This often happens when emotions cloud judgment or when one partner gives the other the benefit of the doubt repeatedly. Over time, this can lead to a cycle of hurt, forgiveness, and repeated harm, eroding trust and self-respect. Identifying patterns requires paying attention not only to what is said but also to what is done. Actions always speak louder than words, and repeated actions are a window into a person's true character. Understanding the difference between patterns and isolated incidents allows you to set appropriate boundaries and make informed decisions about the relationship. It is not about being overly critical or unforgiving, but about recognizing when a behavior reflects more than a momentary lapse. Healthy relationships are built on trust, effort, and mutual respect. Patterns of harmful behavior undermine all three and should not be ignored. Emotional manipulation is one of the most insidious forms of relational harm because it often operates subtly under the radar of overt conflict. It involves using emotional tactics to control, exploit, or undermine another person for personal gain or to maintain power within the relationship. While the signs of emotional manipulation can be difficult to identify at first, its effects are deeply damaging, eroding trust, self-esteem, and emotional security over time. A common form of emotional manipulation is guilt tripping. This occurs when a partner weaponizes your empathy and kindness against you, making you feel responsible for their unhappiness or choices. For example, they might say, "If you really loved me, you'd do this for me," shifting the focus from mutual respect to coercion. Over time, this tactic can make you question your own values and boundaries, leaving you trapped in a cycle of self-blame and compliance. Another hallmark of emotional manipulation is gaslighting, where a partner distorts reality to make you doubt your perceptions and feelings. They may deny events that happened, dismiss your emotions as overreactions, or twist your words to shift blame onto you. Gaslighting is particularly harmful because it undermines your confidence in your own judgment, making it harder to trust yourself and easier for the manipulator to maintain control. Emotional manipulators often thrive on creating confusion. They may alternate between affection and criticism, leaving you unsure of where you stand. This unpredictability fosters dependency, as you may find yourself working harder to please them or gain their approval. Over time, this erodes your sense of self-worth and creates a dynamic where their needs and emotions take precedence over your own. Financial manipulation, isolation from friends and family, or playing the victim are additional tactics often employed to tighten control. These behaviors are not about love, they are about power. A partner who truly values you will not resort to manipulation to get their way. Instead, they will communicate openly, respect your autonomy, and seek to resolve conflicts with mutual understanding. The most challenging aspect of emotional manipulation is recognizing it for what it is. Because the manipulator often cloaks their behavior in expressions of love or concern, it can be easy to excuse or rationalize their actions. However, a consistent pattern of making you feel guilty, confused, or controlled is not healthy. It is a red flag. Addressing emotional manipulation requires setting firm boundaries and holding the manipulator accountable. It may also involve seeking support from trusted friends, family, or professionals to rebuild your confidence and clarify your perspective. Ultimately, a relationship should empower you, not diminish you. Emotional manipulation is a direct violation of this principle and should never be tolerated as a normal or acceptable part of a partnership. Gaslighting and deception are two of the most destructive behaviors that can occur in a relationship because they attack the foundation of trust and reality itself. These behaviors are not simply about lying or misunderstanding, they are deliberate actions aimed at distorting your sense of truth and eroding your confidence in your own perceptions. The damage they cause goes beyond the immediate moment, leaving lasting emotional scars and shaking the very core of your self-identity. Gaslighting is a psychological tactic where one partner manipulates the other into doubting their memories, feelings, or even sanity. It often starts subtly with comments like "you're overreacting" or "that never happened," but can escalate to complete denial of events or rewriting of past occurrences. Over time, gaslighting makes you question your own experiences, creating confusion and self-doubt. For instance, if you confront your partner about hurtful behavior and they respond by saying, "You're imagining things," or accuse you of being too sensitive, they are deflecting accountability and undermining your trust in yourself. This tactic is particularly harmful because it isolates the victim from their own sense of reality. The more you rely on the manipulator's version of events, the less confident you become in your ability to make decisions or stand up for yourself. This is not an accident. Gaslighting is a calculated strategy to maintain power and control in the relationship by keeping you off balance and dependent. Deception, while it may seem less personal, is equally damaging. Lying, withholding important information, or misleading you about key aspects of the relationship undermines trust at its core. A deceptive partner prioritizes their own desires or comfort over the truth, often leaving you in the dark about critical matters. For example, if a partner consistently lies about their whereabouts, financial decisions, or past relationships, it creates an environment of uncertainty and insecurity. Deception also enables further manipulation. By controlling what you know and how you perceive the truth, a deceptive partner can shape the narrative of the relationship to their advantage. This is particularly harmful because it robs you of the ability to make informed decisions based on accurate information. The effects of gaslighting and deception are profound. They leave you feeling disoriented, distrustful, and emotionally drained. They can also lead to a loss of self-esteem as you begin to internalize the belief that you are overly emotional, irrational, or incapable of making sound judgments. Over time, this dynamic can trap you in a cycle of dependence on the very person who is causing the harm. Addressing these behaviors requires clarity and courage. Recognizing the patterns of gaslighting and deception is the first step. Once identified, it is essential to confront the behavior directly and set firm boundaries. A partner who genuinely values the relationship will take accountability and work to rebuild trust through consistent honesty and transparency. When gaslighting and deception are persistent and unaddressed, they are signs of a toxic dynamic that is unlikely to change without significant intervention. In such cases, protecting your mental and emotional health may require stepping away from the relationship entirely. Trust, once broken, can only be rebuilt through mutual effort and genuine respect. Without these, the relationship becomes a place of harm rather than growth, making it essential to prioritize your well-being and seek healthier connections. Abuse in any form, be it physical, emotional, psychological, or verbal, is an absolute deal breaker in any relationship. It represents a profound violation of trust, safety, and respect. Abuse is not just about the harm inflicted in the moment, it has long-lasting effects on your mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. A single instance of abuse should never be minimized, rationalized, or tolerated because it signifies a fundamental breakdown in the principles that underpin a healthy partnership. Physical abuse is perhaps the most visible form of harm and includes any act of violence or aggression, such as hitting, shoving, or other forms of bodily harm. It leaves not only physical scars but also deep emotional wounds, creating an environment of fear and intimidation. The abuser uses physical dominance to assert control, stripping the victim of their sense of security and autonomy. This behavior is never justified, regardless of the circumstances or provocations, and should be addressed with immediate and decisive action, often including seeking help from authorities or support organizations. Emotional and psychological abuse, though less visible, can be equally devastating. It often takes the form of constant criticism, belittling, or attempts to control through fear or guilt. This type of abuse erodes self-esteem and fosters a sense of unworthiness in the victim. For example, a partner who repeatedly insults or humiliates you, either privately or in front of others, is not expressing love. They are asserting dominance by making you feel small. Emotional abuse also includes withholding affection, manipulating emotions, or using silent treatments as punishment, all of which destabilize your sense of connection and safety. Verbal abuse, such as shouting, name-calling, or threatening, is another weapon in the abuser's arsenal. Words can cut deeply, leaving psychological scars that linger long after the argument ends. A verbally abusive partner often uses language to demean, intimidate, or exert control, creating a toxic environment where communication becomes a tool for harm rather than understanding. One of the most insidious aspects of abuse is the cycle it creates. After an abusive incident, the abuser may apologize, promise to change, or attempt to justify their behavior. This often leads the victim to hope for improvement, only for the cycle to repeat. This pattern traps many in abusive relationships, as the intermittent moments of calm or affection make it difficult to break free. It is essential to recognize that abuse in any form is never about love. Love seeks to uplift and support, not harm or control. A partner who resorts to abusive behavior is prioritizing their need for dominance over your right to safety and respect. No amount of love, forgiveness, or compromise can justify enduring harm. Leaving an abusive relationship is never easy, but it is often necessary for your well-being. It may involve seeking support from friends, family, or professional organizations, as well as creating a plan to ensure your safety. It is important to remember that you are not alone and that resources exist to help you navigate this difficult journey. The presence of abuse in a relationship signals a complete breakdown of the fundamental principles of trust, respect, and care. Recognizing abuse for what it is and taking steps to protect yourself are acts of courage and self-respect. You deserve a relationship where you are safe, valued, and cherished. Anything less is not worth enduring. Neglect and disregard in a relationship are often overlooked as forms of harm because they lack the overt aggression seen in other toxic behaviors. However, their impact can be just as damaging, leading to feelings of isolation, unworthiness, and emotional deprivation. Neglect occurs when a partner consistently fails to meet the emotional, physical, or relational needs of the relationship, while disregard involves an active dismissal of your thoughts, feelings, or needs. Together, they undermine the very foundation of connection and mutual respect that a healthy relationship requires. Emotional neglect is particularly insidious because it is often subtle and cumulative. A partner who refuses to engage in meaningful conversations, dismisses your feelings as unimportant, or fails to show empathy when you are struggling is essentially abandoning their role as a supportive and caring presence in your life. Over time, this creates a profound sense of loneliness, even when the person is physically present. For instance, if you share something important and your partner responds with indifference or distraction, it signals that your experiences and emotions do not matter to them. Physical neglect is another form of harm, manifesting when a partner consistently fails to contribute to the practical and physical aspects of the relationship. This might include ignoring shared responsibilities, failing to provide comfort during times of illness or stress, or withholding physical affection. Such neglect communicates a lack of investment in the relationship and can leave you feeling unsupported and undervalued. Disregard, on the other hand, often involves more active behaviors. A partner who interrupts you, belittles your opinions, or consistently prioritizes their needs over yours is showing a lack of respect for your individuality and worth. This behavior can range from dismissing your dreams and aspirations to making unilateral decisions without considering how they will affect you. Disregard sends a clear message your voice and presence are not important in the relationship. The effects of neglect and disregard are cumulative, often leaving the victim questioning their value and contribution to the relationship. You might start to internalize these behaviors, blaming yourself for your partner's lack of care or feeling as though you are asking for too much. This self-doubt can trap you in a cycle of overcompensating, trying harder to gain the attention, affection, or respect that should have been freely given in the first place. Neglect and disregard are not just passive behaviors, they are choices. They reflect a lack of effort, care, or respect for the relationship. A healthy partnership requires active participation, where both individuals are committed to nurturing the bond and meeting each other's needs. While no one is perfect and lapses can happen, consistent patterns of neglect or disregard indicate a deeper issue, whether it is selfishness, emotional unavailability, or a lack of genuine investment in the relationship. Addressing these behaviors involves open communication and clear boundaries. Expressing your feelings and needs is the first step, but the willingness of your partner to listen and change is what ultimately determines the future of the relationship. If they respond with defensiveness, indifference, or continued neglect, it is a sign that they are not willing to put in the effort required to build a healthy, mutually respectful bond. You deserve a relationship where your needs are heard, your feelings are valued, and your presence is cherished. Neglect and disregard are not signs of a healthy connection, they are indicators of a relationship that is failing to provide the support and respect that both partners deserve. Recognizing these patterns and taking steps to protect your emotional well-being is not selfish, it is an act of self-respect and a necessary step toward finding a partnership that truly honors you. Unfaithfulness without remorse is one of the most devastating breaches of trust in a relationship. It is not only the act of betrayal itself that causes harm, but also the lack of accountability, regret, or effort to repair the damage. When a partner is unfaithful and shows no genuine remorse, it signals a disregard for the emotional bond, mutual respect, and trust that form the foundation of a healthy relationship. This behavior is a red flag that cannot be ignored. Infidelity is inherently destructive because it violates the core promise of exclusivity and commitment that most relationships are built upon. It creates feelings of hurt, betrayal, and insecurity in the person who has been cheated on, leaving deep emotional scars that can take years to heal. However, when infidelity is compounded by a lack of remorse, the damage becomes even more profound. A partner who is unapologetic about their unfaithfulness is essentially dismissing the significance of their betrayal and minimizing the pain they have caused. Lack of remorse manifests in several ways. It might look like denial, where the unfaithful partner refuses to acknowledge their actions despite clear evidence. It might involve blame shifting, where they accuse you of being the reason for their betrayal, such as claiming you were too unavailable, unloving, or inattentive. Or it could simply be indifference, where they acknowledge their actions but show no interest in understanding the hurt they have caused or in working to rebuild trust. This absence of remorse is particularly damaging because it robs the relationship of any opportunity for healing. Rebuilding trust after infidelity is an arduous process that requires genuine accountability, empathy, and consistent effort from the unfaithful partner. When these elements are missing, it becomes clear that the betrayer is not invested in the relationship's recovery or in the well-being of their partner. Unfaithfulness without remorse also reflects deeper issues of character. It shows a lack of integrity, empathy, and respect not only for you but also for the relationship itself. It suggests that the unfaithful partner is more concerned with satisfying their own desires or avoiding consequences than with honoring the commitment they made. This behavior often points to a pattern of selfishness or emotional immaturity that is unlikely to change without significant self-reflection and effort on their part. It's important to note that staying in a relationship with an unremorseful partner can have long-term consequences for your self-esteem and emotional health. Over time, you may begin to question your worth, blame yourself for their actions, or lower your standards to accommodate their behavior. This cycle is not only harmful but also deeply unfair to you. Addressing infidelity without remorse requires clarity and strength. A partner who refuses to acknowledge their wrongdoing or make amends is showing you who they are and what they prioritize. While it is natural to want to salvage the relationship, it is crucial to recognize that reconciliation is impossible without genuine remorse and effort from the unfaithful party. Choosing to walk away from such a relationship is not an act of weakness or defeat. It is a courageous step toward protecting your dignity and emotional well-being. You deserve a partner who values loyalty, takes responsibility for their actions, and demonstrates a deep commitment to honoring your trust. Unfaithfulness without remorse is a clear indicator that the relationship lacks these essential qualities, and no amount of compromise or forgiveness can compensate for their absence. A lack of personal growth in a relationship can be as damaging as overtly harmful behaviors because it leads to stagnation, frustration, and a widening gap between partners. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual growth. Both individuals continually evolve, learn, and strive to be better for themselves and for each other. When one partner refuses to engage in personal development or address their flaws, it creates an imbalance that can undermine the relationship's potential and long-term success. Personal growth is about more than achieving external goals. It encompasses emotional maturity, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront one's weaknesses. In a relationship, this growth is essential because it allows both partners to adapt to challenges, communicate effectively, and support one another in meaningful ways. A lack of personal growth signals a resistance to change and an unwillingness to invest in the partnership's well-being. For example, if a partner continually repeats harmful behaviors, refuses to address toxic patterns, or dismisses feedback about how their actions affect the relationship, it demonstrates a lack of accountability and self-reflection. Over time, this can leave you feeling unheard, undervalued, and burdened with the responsibility of maintaining the relationship on your own. Emotional stagnation is a key indicator of a lack of personal growth. A partner who avoids difficult conversations, ignores their emotional baggage, or remains stuck in destructive habits may struggle to connect with you on a deeper level. This lack of connection can lead to feelings of isolation and resentment, especially if you are actively working on your own growth and self-improvement. A partner who resists personal growth often hinders the growth of the relationship itself. Partnerships are dynamic. They require both individuals to evolve in response to changing circumstances, shared goals, and life's inevitable ups and downs. When one partner remains stagnant, it prevents the relationship from flourishing, leaving the other partner feeling trapped in a cycle of unmet potential. A lack of personal growth is not just about refusing to change, it is also about refusing to take responsibility for one's role in the relationship. This can manifest as blaming others for problems, avoiding accountability, or refusing to address conflicts constructively. Over time, this behavior can create a toxic dynamic where one partner feels they are constantly compensating for the other's shortcomings. Addressing a lack of personal growth requires honest communication and a willingness to set boundaries. It is important to express your concerns and highlight how their stagnation is affecting both the relationship and your own well-being. However, the responsibility to grow ultimately lies with the individual. If your partner is unwilling to take steps towards self-improvement or refuses to acknowledge the need for change, it may be a sign that they are not committed to the partnership's success. While it can be difficult to walk away from a relationship where personal growth is absent, it is crucial to remember that you deserve a partner who is willing to grow alongside you. A healthy relationship is a journey of mutual evolution, where both individuals inspire and support each other to become their best selves. If one partner remains stuck, it not only limits their potential but also holds back the relationship as a whole. Prioritizing your own growth and seeking a partner who shares that commitment is essential for building a fulfilling and lasting connection. Enabling toxicity in a relationship is one of the most destructive behaviors you can engage in because it not only perpetuates harmful dynamics but also compromises your own well-being and self-respect. When you enable toxic behavior, you essentially become a partner to the dysfunction, allowing it to continue unchecked, often out of fear, guilt, or a desire to maintain peace. Over time, this behavior erodes the foundation of the relationship, undermines your self-worth, and prevents both individuals from growing or resolving underlying issues. Toxicity can manifest in many forms: manipulation, emotional abuse, disrespect, dishonesty, or a lack of accountability. However, enabling these behaviors involves ignoring or excusing them, often because you want to avoid conflict, fear rejection, or believe the situation will improve on its own. This enabling behavior might look like making excuses for your partner's harmful actions, minimizing their negative impact, or repeatedly forgiving them without addressing the root cause of the behavior. For instance, if your partner regularly belittles you or disrespects your boundaries, but you overlook or downplay their actions to avoid confrontation, you are enabling toxicity. You might think that by ignoring the issue, you are keeping the peace or protecting the relationship, but in reality, you are silently agreeing to accept disrespect. This not only reinforces the toxic behavior, but also teaches your partner that their actions have no real consequences. Enabling also takes the form of neglecting your own needs and desires in favor of accommodating your partner's. You may suppress your own emotions, ignore your own goals, or allow your partner to take precedence over everything else. While this may initially feel like a form of self-sacrifice or loyalty, it eventually results in resentment and feelings of being undervalued. By continually putting the toxic partner's needs above your own, you validate their behavior and make it more difficult for both of you to establish healthy boundaries. One of the risks of enabling toxicity is that it allows the cycle of harmful behavior to continue indefinitely. Without confronting toxic behaviors head-on, there is no opportunity for growth, change, or healing. The toxic partner may feel emboldened by your passive acceptance, thinking that their behavior is acceptable or that they do not need to change. Meanwhile, you become trapped in a pattern of emotional exhaustion, constantly trying to fix or excuse their behavior while neglecting your own well-being. Enabling also keeps you in a state of emotional dissonance. You might rationalize your partner's actions to avoid facing the uncomfortable reality of their toxicity. This dissonance creates confusion and self-doubt, leaving you questioning your own judgment and feelings. You may feel guilty for setting boundaries or confronting toxic behavior, as though you are the one in the wrong for wanting respect and accountability. Over time, this emotional burden can lead to diminished self-esteem, anxiety, and a weakened sense of self-worth. The danger of enabling toxicity is that it can lead to long-term damage, both to the relationship and to your own mental health. It prevents the opportunity for healing or resolution and may even encourage the toxic behavior to escalate. While it's normal to want to protect the relationship or to believe in the potential for change, enabling toxicity only delays necessary action, causing greater harm in the long run. To stop enabling toxic behavior, it's essential to recognize the harmful patterns at play. This means acknowledging the unhealthy dynamics, setting clear boundaries, and holding your partner accountable for their actions. It may involve difficult conversations, the risk of confrontation, or even the decision to walk away from the relationship if things do not improve. Enabling toxicity harms both you and the other person involved. You deserve to be in a relationship where you are respected, valued, and treated with kindness. If your partner's toxic behavior is not addressed or corrected, and you continue to enable it, you are sacrificing your own emotional health and reinforcing the very toxicity that is damaging the relationship. Prioritizing your well-being and establishing healthy boundaries is not only necessary for personal growth, but also for creating an environment where mutual respect, honesty, and care can thrive.